shifted from a narrow counterterrorism mission to a broader nation-building effort. That effort cost taxpayers, by SIGAR's estimate, $2.3 trillion. So I'd like to talk about some of those key strategic decisions. To both of you, do you believe that the Taliban should have been included in the Bonn conference in 2001? Did the Bush administration miss an opportunity early on when the United States was in the strongest possible position to demand Taliban disarmament?
If you'd like me to go first,
Sure.
I could say, yes, in retrospect, the Taliban should have been included in the political arrangements for Afghanistan. They did represent a certain kind of constituency there, and their potency might have been greatly diminished if they had been included as just one of multiple factions. You might never have had an insurgency in the first place. However, I think to be fair, you have to look at what the thinking was at that period of time. The fervor of the post 9/11 period for counterterrorism, the anger at the Taliban for not turning over bin Laden, and the perception that there was no more Taliban, that it was a quick victory, that they were eliminated, and that it was only a mopping up operation. And so when you talk to people who were involved in the decision making at that time, I think it is apparent that it was not particularly realistic to expect that kind of perceptivity about what events would unfold and how the insurgency would arise. I think you can look to somewhat later periods of time when there were overtures in the several years that followed the intervention. There were some overtures from Taliban individuals who sought to make accommodations with the Afghan government. And the U.S. at that time, I think, should have had a greater sense of the value of allowing the Afghan government, President Karzai at the time, to make some Afghan-style deals to incorporate Taliban figures into governance. And that might have prevented the insurgency.
Makes me think, is there an intelligence failure? We thought it was a mop-up operation. We obviously underestimated that reality. Ambassador Crocker, do you believe Iraq, another place where you served as ambassador, was deemed a higher priority by the Bush White House? Did the administration pay sufficient attention to Afghanistan at a time that the Taliban were regaining strength?
I was not in or engaged with Afghan affairs at that time, Mr. Chairman. I was fully immersed in Iraq as Deputy Assistant Secretary of State covering the Gulf, including Iraq, in that period, 2002, 2003. I would say this. We're the United States of America. We actually can do more than one thing at once. We did so in World War II. We were able to prosecute a total war and defeat both Germany and Japan. So I find it a little difficult to believe that suddenly we don't have the ability to focus on two regional conflicts at the same time. The other point I would make here is that we didn't really seem to understand what was possible and what was not. As Ms. Miller has said, engaging the Taliban right away would have been politically impossible. Also inside Afghanistan, we would have had a Northern Alliance mutiny if we had done so. I don't think that was a valid interpretation at all. And again, had we surged more forces sooner into Afghanistan, we might have simply fueled a earlier and stronger insurgency. Yeah. So like almost every other question on the table about Afghanistan, the issues are complex, they are difficult, and they are multiple.
Yeah. It seems to me we took our eye off the prize and we went to a place where there were supposedly weapons of mass destruction and we found none. And we may be the United States and we may be a superpower, but when you have two regional conflicts but of significant consequence, and you take your eye off the main prize, which is where September 11th was emanated from, I'm not sure that was the greatest decision. Let me ask one final question. President Trump's approach towards Afghanistan was, from my view, erratic, first promising a military victory before signing a surrender deal, as Ambassador Crocker has said, that saw the release of 5,000 Taliban prisoners and the withdrawal of U.S. forces within 14 months, and a deal that which the Taliban made good on none of it. So do you think that that deal was a good one? Did the Taliban uphold their commitments? Was there any real way to have enforced them, Ms. Miller?
A fundamental problem with the deal was one that